The use of hymnic and liturgical elements in the Hebrew Bible shows similarities to Egyptian religious practices. The Psalms contain hymns of praise and worship that share structural and thematic resemblances to ancient Egyptian hymns and prayers. Some of the legal concepts in the Hebrew Bible bear similarities to Egyptian legal traditions, just as the Sumerian and Babylonian texts do. The Canaanites arguably have the most influence on the Hebrew Bible. The Canaanite pantheon of gods was a diverse and complex system of deities worshipped by the ancient Canaanites, land that would be present-day Israel right now, who inhabited the region corresponding to present-day Israel, Palestine, Lebanon, and parts of Jordan and Syria. Here are some key gods and goddesses from the Canaanite pantheon. Number 1, El. The same name as the god of the Hebrew Bible. El is the chief deity in the Canaanite pantheon and was associated with authority, kingship, and wisdom. He's often depicted as an aged and bearded figure. El presided over a divine council and held a central position in the Canaanite religious beliefs. His son was Baal. Baal was one of the most prominent gods in Canaanite pantheon. He was associated with the storms, fertility, and agricultural abundance. Baal was depicted as a powerful warrior wielding a lightning bolt, symbolizing his control over the forces of nature. El had a wife named Asherah, the consort of El, considered the mother goddess in Canaanite religion, the queen of heaven. She represented fertility, motherhood, and nurturing. Asherah was often depicted as the divine mother figure, sometimes portrayed alongside a sacred tree or a pole representing her presence. Anat was a fierce and warlike goddess associated with battle, violence, protection, and wisdom. Like Athena, Anat was depicted as a warrior goddess, often shown with a bow, a spear, or a shield. Astarte, also known as Ashtaroth, was the goddess associated with love, beauty, and sexuality. She was considered the patron of fertility, both in terms of human production and agricultural abundance. Astarte was depicted as a sensual goddess, adorned with jewelry and symbols of fertility. Dagon, associated with agriculture, grain, fertility. He was often depicted as a fish-like deity, symbolizing abundance with fertility linked to water and agricultural prosperity. Last, but certainly not least, Yahweh, often referred to as Yahu, the deity associated with a specific region or tribe, rather than being a central figure in the broader Canaanite pantheon. The understanding of Yahweh's role in the Canaanite religion is complex and subject to ongoing scholarly debate. He was a tribal deity. He's also one of the sons of El. There are some who suggest that Yahweh and Baal are interchangeable depending on the location, both being the son of El and both being extremely important as princes of the pantheon. This may play into the later tradition of the Hebrew Bible, where the priests of Yahweh are battling with the priests of Baal, such as the story of Elijah and Jezebel. Another perspective suggests that Yahweh emerged through a process of syncretism, wherein the worship of Yahweh merged with elements of Canaanite religious beliefs and practices. This view posits that Yahweh began as a local deity, later absorbed attributes and roles from other Canaanite gods such as El and Baal. Canaanite stories have significant impact on the Hebrew Bible, given the close historical and cultural connections between the Israelites and Canaanites. The Canaanites were the indigenous inhabitants of the land of Canaan, which encompasses modern-day Israel. Canaanite mythology and religious beliefs, cultic practices such as the sacrifices, offerings, and temple worship. Biblical texts frequently mention Israelite interactions with Canaanite religious practices, often presenting them negatively, that Israelites should avoid them. The Canaanite practices and the Israelites' response to them are discussed in the context of idolatry and the centralization of worship in Jerusalem. The absorption of the Canaanite El into the Yahweh religion is a complex process that took place over an extended period of time. El, the chief deity in the pantheon, associated with the authority, kingship, and divine counsel, becomes one and the same with his own son, Yahweh. And throughout the Hebrew Bible, Yahweh and El, or El Elyon, which means God Most High, are interchangeable and mean the same thing at some points. The biblical texts even refer to Yahweh as El Elyon, emphasizing his identification with the supreme deity. This suggests that the early Israelites may have seen Yahweh as a manifestation or an aspect of El. As the Israelites settled in Canaan, they likely interacted and assimilated elements of Canaanite culture and religious practices. The worship of El may have influenced the evolving understanding of Yahweh, with El's attributes and characteristics merging with those ascribed to Yahweh. The process of syncretism, wherein deities from different religious traditions are combined or identified with each other, likely played a role. Over time, the Israelites established their religious identity. There may have been a merging of El and Yahweh, resulting in the understanding of Yahweh as the primary deity, supreme authority. El's association with the divine council, consisting of subordinate deities, can be seen in both Canaanite and early Israelite traditions. As the Israelite religion developed, the concept of the divine council was retained, but with Yahweh as the head of the council. The Phoenician stories and cultural influences left their mark on certain aspects of the Hebrew Bible. The Phoenicians, which are the purple people called by the Greeks, are an ancient seafaring people who inhabited the coastal region of modern-day Lebanon, had significant interactions with the Israelites, leading to the cultural exchanges and influences. With direct evidence of Phoenician stories in the Bible, the Neoplatonist writer Porphyry, stating that a priest named Sanchoniathon of Beirut wrote the truest history because he obtained the records from Hierombolus, priest of Yahweh, that Sanchoniathon dedicated his history to Abibel, king of Beirut, and it was approved by the king and other investigators, the date of this writing being around 1200 BCE. In this text, El, who is also called Kronos, sacrifices his only begotten son, Yehud, as an offering to his Father in heaven, and then circumcises himself, and decreed from that day forward that all of his offspring must also circumcise themselves in honor of Aranos. And El was deified as the star Saturn, Saturday being the same day as the Sabbath. This story is clearly borrowed by the Hebrew scribes for the book of Genesis, when Abraham, who was offering his only begotten son Isaac as an offering to El, but in this case an angel stops him. However, like in the Phoenician myth, it is Abraham who is the first patriarch to circumcise himself and make this a custom among the Israelites for all males.